Okay, so please be sure to head your grammar notes. All right, the topic of discussion for today is nouns, cases, and declensions. Okay, this is what I was so excited about. I could not wait for you guys to learn about this stuff. I am jumping and bustling with joy. Okay, so to start things off, oh, wait, really? Go back. It was on the screen for like 15 million years. What? What? Really? Unfortunately, I am not Jackie Chan, so no. Okay, alles gut? Yeah? Yeah? All right, so nunca genda, that literally just means do now. Like the now having been done. Write the following sentences out in your grammar notes, mark up and translate. Okay, make sure you leave enough room. All right, so I would skip maybe double lines in your notes for each sentence so you have enough room to mark up and write a translation underneath. Capisce? Yeah. A little bigger? It could be, but I'm going to have to zoomy zoom. That's as good as I can do. Huh? Oh. That's up to you. That part's up to you. Okay, but I'm sure you can glean from your big brain time. I'm sure you'll get these right. Haiku? Not here right now. Gesundheit. Bless you. Okay. All right, does everyone have these at least written down? No. I'm doing them kind of like step by step. So like I translate and then I mark up and I write the next one. Same. Okay. Is that all right? Wait, wasn't it just on the... No, I'm not thinking something. What? Oh, I think we have venue. What is vendor? Isn't it like C? If you ask me a vocab question that could easily be gleaned from the glossary, then I will take a quiz point from the next assessment that you have. Okay, don't forget you are marking up and translating too. Okay. Oh, yes. Just a general oh no. Because you've been cast in Sweeney Todd and you're at the scene where he realizes he accidentally killed his wife. Oh no! What? Was it? Okay. It's what? So multas comes from multi. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yep, of course. No, thank you for looking it up. Better? Didn't get you. Thought you'd look that way. All right, can I go over these? 2 more minutes? Okay, you can have them.
How do you mark up over there?
For the purposes of this, mark qui up as subject. Okay. I think that was 2 minutes, right? That was an impatient 2 minutes. I hope so. Be safe out there. All right, that's definitely been 2 minutes. Okay, let's talk about it. All right, number 1. Cornelius multas epistulas scribit. Okay, now, based on what we know about stuff, what's my markup? Kingbo, because you are looking very sad, I'm going to call on you. Okay. Epistulas is the direct object. Okay, now I'm going to take that a little bit further, Kingbo. Look at the word multas, okay, and epistulas. Do they look like they have similar endings? Yes. So could we educatedly guess that they're going together? Yes. Okay, and indeed they actually are. All right, so these two things go together. This is our direct object. All right, translation. Jason Q. Cornelius, what? Wrote many letters. Okay, I'm just going to make one edit. It's writes. Yeah, it's writes many letters because we have not learned the past tense just quite yet. So Cornelius writes many letters. But other than that, you got it. Okay. All right, and you also accounted for the fact that epistulas is plural. Okay, next. Number 2, pueri magnam arborem in agris vident. Marcus Uppus. Madeline. Okay. Nice. Exactly right. You got it. Nicely done, Madeline. All right, translation for this one. Clear. Oh. The boys, say one more time for me. Okay, the boys see a big tree in the fields. Okay. Any questions so far? We good? All right, number 3. Nuntius qui ad pueros venit magnos clamores audit. Marcus Uppus. All right, Clinton, go for it.
So I was still working on this one, but
Okay.
so Nuntius would be the second.
Mm-hmm.
Pueros and Magnos, they have similar endings, so I would
I mean, okay, all right. So actually,
Well, afterwards it would be like
prepositional phrase. Good. Okay. Actually, can I pause you and let's talk about that? So you made the educated guess that pueros and magnos were going together.
I understand why.
Right. Okay, good. Now magnos, right? I know that I've told you Latin word order doesn't always really matter too much. Like the words could go in any order, but there are typical patterns. There are patterns that do hold true. So another one pattern to be aware of is this one right here. All right, this prepositional phrase. Usually it'll be the preposition and the object of the preposition will follow directly behind that. So you can see that it's a unit in the words. Now, as far as noun adjective pairs go, right, typically they're going to be, at least at this stage in time, right next to each other. All right, now I think I've mentioned this once before. What comes first in Latin, the noun or the adjective? We sound unsure. Think of it this way. It's opposite of what we do in English. In English, I would say I'm wearing a blue dress. But in Latin, I would say I'm wearing a dress blue. So that the reason they do that is to just kind of get you used to it. Eventually, what you're going to notice is they're going to start switching it so that it's actually accurate. Ah, because they know that we're learning Latin through the medium of English. So they're using your knowledge of English word order to train you to look for those things. And once you're able to kind of identify them, they start sneakily switching them. Okay, the textbook writers are pretty wicked clever. Sort of ish. Sometimes, not all the time. Okay. All right, so so those were just two things I wanted to talk about. Magnos and clamores are definitely going together, even though the endings don't look exactly the same. Can that happen? Yes, it totally can. All right, but what case, I'm sorry, what would I mark that up as? Direct object, good. Okay, and we've got wane it and out it. How am I going to mark those up, everybody? Verbs, good. Okay. Qui, kind of don't really worry about that. I marked it up as a subject because technically it is our subject. Yeah, who. So what, if I were to be kind of grammatically specific about it, I would underline from qui to wane it because that's like a grammatical unit on its own, right? It's a subordinate clause that is relating information about something in the main clause. What kind of clause relates information? Relative. Yeah, so qui ad pueros wane it is a relative clause. Okay, yo, Amy and Dora, why are y'all mouthing words to each other the entire time when y'all should be paying attention to the screen? What is so vitally important right now that you need to be in constant communication? You literally live together. Shush. Got it? That was your formal warning. All right, translation, Tim Jen, please. Good, and I'm glad you actually said the comma because that is good English, right? That's how you would do it. Okay, so the messenger who comes toward the boys.
Can you say loud shout?
Yeah, you could. You could say a great shout, a loud shout, a big shout. Any of those are fine. Okay. Sorry. What's up?
Clauses like usually together, so like we can put some words from the main clause into like the
Correct. Yes. So the clauses typically will stick together. I mean, like a subordinate clause can kind of be interjected within a main clause, like it is here. Exactly. Yeah, you wouldn't see that. The only time that that could potentially happen is in Latin poetry, where the poet wants to bring your attention to something weird in that line. Like if it's a poem about like a boy and a girl who love each other and they're like holding hands, they might interlock the word order just to show you that there's like unity in that love. Something like that. Like they use the words to kind of paint the picture of what's going on. But that's a very poetic thing to do. Okay. Any questions on these three sentences? Are we having fun yet? Oh. All right. Well, I tried. Okay. So we kind of just talked about this, but here's the big question. How do we determine noun function in English? What is the thing that we use to determine noun function in English, Timjin?
The order.
Yeah, the word order, also known as syntax. Okay, but that is slightly different. The second big question I pose to you, how do we determine noun function in Latin? Sleeping Cece. By the endings, good, okay. So word order can help us a little bit, like we just learned, but it's not everything, okay? Latin is an inflected language, I've said that before, meaning that the endings change to indicate specific things. And we are about to get to that. Dost thou recognize this chart?
Yes.
All right. Do we have this chart in our binders?
It's in the reference charts.
I'll have to print you one. I'll make a note to print you one.
This is
Okay.
so great.
So those of you who do have the reference chart, talk me through it. What am I going to fill in? What am I going to fill in?
So for the nominative way for singular and plural, you fill in A for singular and AE for plural.
Good. Okay, someone give me something else. Jason, give me something.
So for ACC deal, singular you put AM, and for plural you put AS.
Good. Okay, so far so good. All right, did we talk about masculine?
Yes, we did.
All right, someone give me the nominative, singular, and plural. Monty. Okay, good. All right, what about the accusative? Dora. Good. Nice. Okay, and I think that's all that you guys should have at this point, right? Okay, we're going to fill this out a little bit more. But before we do that, I do want to lay some groundwork, some vocabulary that we're going to need to start using when we talk about these things, okay? Linguistic terms. Okay, so keep this handy. We're going to fill in a couple more things, but continue your notes as we were before. Okay, so here are some baseline definitions, all right? When we talk about nouns, nouns have particular characteristics, meaning there are things about that noun that we need to be able to discuss as Latin grammarians, right? Because you guys will be the ultimate Latin grammarians by the time I'm done with you. All right, so there are 4 definitions that I need you to write down. Okay, the words are case, case ending, number, and declension. Okay, now I'll zoom in a little bit. Sorry, Cece. Now, for next time, I'll make it a little bigger, the font, but that's the best I can do at this present moment. Whoa. Okay. I may or may not quiz you on these terms at some point in the future. So that was like a Slade way of saying you should probably know these. Yeah. Eventually, these will become second nature, though. In the normal way? What fun is that? Boring. I like to be ambiguous. I hope so. The bathroom or the water fountain or both?
Only the
Go
water
into the
fountain.
bathroom in the water.
There's no bathroom in the water.
There might be. Maybe there's a magical bathroom in the water fountain that only he knows about.
That'd be quite disgusting.
That's disgusting. Okay. So as you guys are writing, let's kind of think about, like, don't just write these down for writing them down. Kind of try to think about what these things mean. Okay, you already kind of know some of these things. Number we've definitely kind of mentioned before. Declension you've seen, but you didn't realize that that's what you were looking at. Same thing with case. You've been looking at those too, but you didn't realize that that's what we're talking about. Okay, so now we're going to have words to describe those things that you've seen already.
Do we have an example of what declension is?
I'm going to talk about it. Well, thank you for being safe. I appreciate it.
Safe.
Yep, safety. Safety first. Tiffany Jin. Good morning. Even though it's the afternoon. Yeah, I know, but she was falling asleep, so.
Look, in some parts of the world, it can be morning and afternoon for us.
Did you know that in some parts of the world they'll also be in morning?
That's also true. Like the time zone that's the furthest ahead of us currently is, I believe, the Australian time zone.
Nice.
And so that means that they're Oceania or Australia. They're a day ahead of us. Full day ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
Indigenous people
Not Australia.
Oceania.
Yeah, I corrected myself.
I corrected myself. And also China has its own time zone.
That sounds very conspiratorial to me, so I'm not going to touch that one.
No, I don't support it. I'm just saying I think people
There's also
Oh, for sure. There are people who believe anything. Okay, so now that you guys have had a chance to decently write these down, all right, now we talked just now about how Latin uses endings to indicate certain things, all right? So case, I want you to kind of think of case as essentially, it's how you define noun function. Okay, when I say case, I want you to think noun function. Okay, case endings are just, like, they change to indicate different functions.
What would be an example of that?
I'll talk about that. You're about to see it. Okay, may I scroll? Okay. Whoops. All right, here are some definitions that I'd like you to know. Now, if you notice, okay, repeat these words after me. Nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, vocative, locative. Okay, all of these end in I-T-E-I-V-E. Okay, these are the cases. These are the cases, the names of the cases. Now, each case is used for a particular job or a particular function. And the two that we've seen so far are the nominative job and the accusative job. All right, so based on what's up on the board, what is the function or the purpose of the nominative case? Subject noun. And what is the function or the job of the accusative case? Direct object. Okay. Now you might be wondering, how am I supposed to remember all these really weird random words and what order they go in? Okay. I've given you a mnemonic device to remember that. Okay. Never give dogs actual abuse. Okay. And if you notice, right, N for nominative, G for genitive, D for dative, ac for accusative, and ab for ablative.
Never gonna give you what?
No, it's not Rick Astley, unfortunately. As far as the vocative and the locative go, I just wanted you to know that they do exist, but we're not really going to talk about them until a little bit later. Okay, so just you can write them down, know that they are there. They are potential cases, but they're not of the utmost importance right now. Okay, right now we really are focusing on the nominative and the accusative cases, those two. Okay, Timjen.
So the ACC that you added prepositions is this.
Yes,
Is
so
that like add plus alpha or add?
yeah, so I'll give you just kind of like very briefly, when I give you the prepositions, a preposition can only take a particular case. So AB, like a in plus ABL, that means that word has to be in the ablative case, or plus ACC, it has to be in the accusative case.
Oh,
That's
and
what that
then
means.
op is accusative.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, so, yep, ABL is ablative. So essentially, there are two functions of the accusative case. I wasn't going to get to it, but I guess now I kind of have to say it. It's used for direct objects or object of preposition. Okay, same thing with the ablative case. All right, the function is object of preposition. I won't, at this point in time, it's okay if you don't remember that. We'll come back to it, we'll circle back, and we'll learn those things formally, okay? But any questions on this? Okay, so everybody, communally, the subject noun is what case? The direct object is what case? All right, the nominative does what? The accusative does what? And what does Miss Slade do? That's right. Yeah, I do give you homework and torture you. Okay. All right, may I scroll? Yes, okay. All right, again, if you missed something and I'm going a little too fast, remember I always post the lectures. This is being recorded as we speak, so you can pop on the YouTube and check it out later if you forget. Yes, I have a YouTube account. Duh. None, because I'm that cool. All right. Now, this essentially is what you have in your notes that I had you guys take out from your reference charts. But there are a couple endings that I added just for the purposes of this discussion. So if you feel so inclined, you can add them. All right. It's this one here. Okay, the genitive singular feminine is AE. You might want to put that down somewhere. Okay, another one that I added
It all makes sense now.
is the genitive singular masculine.
It just clicked for me.
Did it now?
Yeah, because I didn't know, because like that's the, oh, I get it. Because those are all the cases, nominative, genitive.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
Yep, because this is a noun chart. These are noun ending charts. All right, that's essentially what we're working with.
I get it.
All right, now we didn't really talk about third declension, but I do want you to be aware of them. So if you can look in your chart where it says third declension mask fem, okay, you see those? All right, fill in kind of like a weird looking X, like an italicized X for the nominative. For the genitive singular underneath that is IS. For the accusative singular is M. Actually, let me zoom in so you guys can see that a little more clearly. Okay, for the nominative plural is ace, and the accusative plural is also ace.
Did we fill anything for neutral?
No, don't. We are not tackling neuter right now. Right now, we're just dealing with feminine and masculine.
What do I mean by masculine staff? What is masculine staff?
Don't. Right now, don't worry about it. Right now, don't worry about it. No, not necessarily, because remember, the actual gender and the prescribed gender of the noun are two different things. Question.
Does the word neuter have anything to do with what they do to dogs?
Yes. Yes. Because neuter, think of it as neutral. It's neither masculine nor feminine. And when you neuter a dog, you are taking away what makes it masculine. Kind of. To some degree. Okay. Does everyone have their charts filled out? By the chatter, I would assume so. Okay. Hey, Tim L., are you falling asleep? Oh, no, you were writing. Okay. I wasn't sure. Your head was down pretty far. I was like, oh, taking a nap. Okay, so why do we need to know all of this? All right, this is important. You did? Oh, Jupiter, stars, Arwen, what are we doing? Okay. All right, so let's take a look. Now, listen. Guys, this is important. This is important, right? Because this is the foundation. If we don't build this strong, if we build this on sand, when you try to do more advanced stuff, that house gonna collapse. Okay, so right now is the time when you need to be attentive. You need to be on. Okay, hands down. No. All right. So the reason why I'm telling you this is because you need to know what declension a noun belongs to. And if you've noticed, when I give you new nouns, I give you vocabulary, typically I give you not just one word, but it kind of takes this format, right? Puella, puellai, feminine, girl, okay? The reason why it's like that is because of this, all right? I'll highlight the ending. So we've got puella and we've got puellai. Now, if we look in our chart, we've got puella and we've got puellai. Okay, that's what makes puella puellai a first. Say that again. It is, but don't go that way. So when we do these charts, eventually you're going to know all of these. We start at the top, like at the nominative, and we kind of work our way down all the way to the bottom, and then we go all the way up back to the top and work our way down. We don't really go across. Okay. So just kind of keep that in mind. You'll get used to it. This is like, I know theoretically this is all a bit much, okay, but it's gonna kind of start to sink in. All right, let's take a look at servus, servi. So based on what we just did with puella, puellai, can someone tell me what noun family servus, servi belongs to? Monty. Second declension, good, okay. All right, and that's because we've got a US here and we've got an I here. And then in our chart, we've got a US over here and an I here. Oh, yeah.
It was in the vocabulary list.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll always give you... Yes, exactly. Okay, so you've seen these things before.
So I'm just a little bit confused on one thing.
What's up?
So for the straight up definition, declension means groups of nouns that share common type of endings. So like this and that entire chart of endings would be one declension.
Okay.
A declension.
So with respect to this chart, well, okay, let's go back actually. All right, so in this chart, there are possible 5 noun families that exist in Latin, and only 5, that's it. Okay, there aren't any more. All right, so first declension is just the endings that would be in this chart. Second declension is what's going to be in this section. Third is this section, fourth, and fifth. Okay, now one thing I should have mentioned, and it totally slipped my mind. When we talk about declension, right, I want you to think of declension as a noun family. Noun family. So yes, it's a group that shares similar sets of endings. Think of them as a family that shares similar sets of endings. Okay, now, okay, let's try another one. What about puer, pueri? Can someone tell me what declension that might be? Robert?
Second declension.
Yes, it's second declension, exactly right. Okay, right, because if you look over here, R is a possibility and I is a possibility. Okay, how about this one? Ager, agree. Claire, what do you think? What declension would that be? Yeah, second declension, exactly right. Okay, let's try another one. Now, pater, right, off the bat, you might think, oh, it's second declension. But wait, double check that, because the second word is is, not I. So what declension is pater, patris? Genevieve? It's third declension, exactly. Okay, so third declension is one of those declensions that if a noun doesn't follow any of the other conventions of the declensions, Like essentially there's no uniting factor, right? So for first declension, the first word is going to end in an A no matter what. For second declension, it's going to either end in a US or an R no matter what. But for third declension, there are multiple possibilities. So for example, okay, Leo Leonis is a third declension, right? That ends in an O, kind of, right, Cece? Yeah. Okay, but the word for sparrow, passer is, okay, that ends in an R. Okay, the word for voice, which we see down here, wokus, okay, that ends in an X. So there really is no united ending for the nominative, and that's why I put this like X that kind of looks like a variable in math. It kind of is, yeah. Like another example, the name Kikeronis, okay, that's a third declension. His name ends in an O. Caesar, Caesaris, third declension as well. Okay, so there really isn't a uniting factor. So that's why when you come across third declension nouns, you need to just memorize the forms. Sextus, well, let's think about that. So the name is Sextus, Sexti. So take a look at our chart. Which one has us e? Second declension. Okay, so are you guys starting to kind of see how this process works of identifying nouns? Okay, yes, Clinton.
So, I was just wondering, so basically, if it doesn't change the other two charts, but the second word ending is more obscure than the other one, then you put it in the third. Like, what I'm trying to say is that, so if it fits, it could fit the category of the first two, but then if the second word has is or has like a word that fits the category of the third, then you put it in the third.
Yes, and that's partially why this is going to get a little theoretical, and I will say this again. But, all right, I said that a declension is a noun family. Now, in English, when you refer to your family, what name do you use? Your first name or your last name? Your last name is your family name. So you can think of it as this, right? Let's look here. I'm going to erase this for a second. Okay. The first form that they give, puella, that's going to be the nominative form, right? And the word nominative almost looks like nomen. What does the word nomen mean? Name, right? So that's like the first name of a noun. Now, the second word that they give you is the genitive form. Now, if you know anything about Latin, the Latin word gentis, means family or clan. So this second form here, puellae, is kind of like a last name. So you identify what family a noun belongs to by looking at, sure, the first name will help, but the last name is the clincher. That's what absolutely confirms it, and there is no doubt about it. All right, the last name of the noun, the genitive, the second form that you are given, that is what you need to look at first to identify what noun family a noun belongs to.
Okay, so you look at the second.
Look at the second one. So,
even though some situations you could just look at both and it wouldn't.
yeah, because essentially for first and second declension, like it's pretty regular, but after that it gets funky. So that's when you really need the genitive to help you out. Question.
So the second form for like nouns, they were never like plural, right? They're always singular.
Yeah, it's always the nominative singular and the genitive singular, not the nominative singular and the nominative plural. Yeah.
And for the like the X thing, can you just like put arrows in like just some random variable? Because I might think that.
You might think the ending is X itself. Sometimes what I've seen some people do is they'll either write a dash to indicate that whatever that value is what it's going to, like whatever they give you, that's what that word is. There's no like united ending. Or some people do what they call an asterisk, like a little star to indicate. So you can use any one of those that you like? Not applicable? I wouldn't just be, huh? Yes, NA means not applicable. Yeah. Yes. Can you turn the lights on? Yes, you can. Okay.
Should I?
Oh, I don't think you necessarily need to. Okay. There's just one more thing I want to get through before I give you guys your homework for the weekend. Yeah, you have homework. This is Latin class. Since according to you, I torture you and give you homework, right? Okay, so identifying declensions. Why might this be important? Why should we even bother? All right, here are 3 things you need to know. Point number 1, a noun will never change its declension. A noun is born into a noun family, and that will never change. Okay, something else that never changes is that a noun will never change its gender either. Okay, so aqua, aquae, it's a feminine noun, and it will always forevermore be a feminine noun. Okay, pater, patris, that's a masculine noun, and it will forevermore be a masculine noun. Okay, and finally, the third point that you should know is that a noun has a finite number of possible endings. Okay, so what I mean by that is, if I know that puella puellae is a first declension noun, the only endings that can be applied to that word belong in the first declension noun chart family. Yeah, so that means I can't take like third declension endings and pop it onto a first declension noun. It doesn't work that way.
So you can't say like puelli, puellos.
Yeah, you can't do that. Right? So it's very systematic, very logical. Everything is categorized, everything has its place. Okay, so those of you who are good at math, you might find that Latin is actually pretty easy for you because you have to rationalize and you have to figure things out like a puzzle. Okay, but that doesn't mean that if you're not good at math, you can't do Latin. I was one of those. I'm terrible at math. I still use my fingers and toes. I can't count appropriately. These are my calculators. Oh, you mean on my phone, like a human? Okay, so these are just important things to note, some rules to go by, okay? Are there any questions? Okay, do you see why this is exciting? Because this is going to open up a whole new world of things, and you guys are going to be able to use these terms and talk about things educatedly. You won't be like, oh, it's the ending on that thing. It's like, that sounds kind of silly. Now we have words for it, right? It's a declension. So from this point forward, I'd like you guys to start trying to be precise when you're describing things. Okay, now your homework for this weekend is going to be go through the glossary in your textbook and find and write out 5 examples of first declension, 5 examples of second declension, and 5 examples of third declension. It will be on the portal, but I just verbalized it now so you know that that's what it is. They can be words you haven't learned yet. That's why I'm opening it up. Use the glossary. Just flip around. That's somewhat kind of lame. That's super lame, dude. That is so lame. Look through the glossary. I'd like you to look through the glossary. Okay, so try to make it a word you haven't learned yet. All right, thanks, guys.